Welcome back. Thanks for staying with us on the Newsfeed PM edition. Now, the power crisis in the country has thrown up another headache for the Western Cape. Water reservoirs in the province are beginning to buckle under the strain of Eskom's continued implementation of load shedding. That's leading to a scramble for urgent plans to avert a water and sewage crisis. The province held high-level talks this past Wednesday to encourage municipalities to make contingency plans in good time. Joining us now for an update on the situation is Western Cape Local Government and Environment MEC Anton Bredell. Very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for your time. As load shedding persists, and of course we know it will persist given the latest breaking news on the different stages that we should anticipate for this week. We know that you've now expressed as a province some concern about the impact of load shedding on municipalities. What is at stake?
Thank you very much, and thank you for the opportunity. First of all, we've put our disaster management center on high alert so that we can pull in all the resources and all the departments to work together as a unit. The big issue for us was to secure diesel. Now that happened, so we're very fortunate and very grateful that we secured diesel for our generators, because the whole backup system run with diesel. And then obviously working with our municipalities, the sewage plant, the water supply systems, you need pumps. It's a big pump system, and if those pumps can't work, then you need to have backup generators. And the problem is, as soon as you enter the space of stage 4 to 6 load shedding, then you don't have enough capacity to fill the reservoirs, and then the pressure drops within the system, and you start to struggle with households. So as a disaster management center, we've put the units out to all municipalities, get their information. We've plotted on a map to determine the risk areas in the province. So in each district, we can tell you which reservoirs then are likely to run out of water, so that we can shift extra generating capacity to those reservoirs, as well as sewage plants. And up till now, we managed to pull through, but we keep a very close eye, because we prepared for prolonged load shedding levels, anything from level 3 to 6. And it's an ongoing management system to ensure that our households do have water and electricity, and therefore the call on the public to work with us. I'm a firm believer that the public will work with us. They've proved it during the drought in 2017, and I'm very grateful up till now, the last week, they've really stepped up, save water and save energy, so that we can give Eskom the breathing space so that they can fix their supply.
Which areas are at risk of experiencing water shortages?
It's actually in all our districts, especially the smaller municipalities. So your smaller municipalities don't have the luxury to budget for big generators, etc. So your smaller municipalities do struggle. And I'm very fortunate to have well-run municipalities that open their hearts and just support those municipalities as well. So one neighboring municipality with capacity, we pick up a phone, we say, listen, your neighbor's got problems, and they will send them a generator and they will go and help them. And we will tap into the system and keep on working together. Therefore, the call last week, when we had an extended cabinet to get all our mayors and our cabinet in a room to say, listen guys, we're in this together, let's work together, and they've pulled through. So now you must remember, it's not over yet. There's strain on the system, so we keep on monitoring and communicating with our municipalities, and obviously then the call for green energy. We need to get green energy in the system. We need to open up the system. But saying this, we must also realize that Eskom needs some space to fix their generating capacity, and hopefully through this, working together, we can get through.
And as you speak to some of the solutions, there are concerns around how load shedding and its impact will affect poorer households. How are you factoring in the other households that may not be able to function because of the impact of load shedding?
Well, each department, that's why we've just, remember, water is everybody's business. If there's no water, there's no sewage, everybody will suffer. So that's for everyone. We've worked with Department of Social Services, the Health Department. Their first indication was that they manage currently, there's old age homes that we also need to see to it that they've got capacity. There's people on oxygen. So currently the system works, the system is good. But there's strain on the system, so we need to realize that. Then DSD is also looking at our schools and nutrition programs, how we can make sure that people do get food, and children especially do get food to eat. And during the COVID period, our school feeding system was one of the best in the country. So I'm quite confident that we will keep the system up and running.
And what are the big challenges that you're having to navigate against as you try and ensure that the contingency measures put in place do now kick in and assist as this crisis is underway?
The big issue was to secure diesel. Remember, our whole system, our whole backup system is based on that there will be diesel capacity. So when Eskom announced last Sunday morning in the press conference that Ankerlig was only at 32%, we were very worried, but we've managed to meet with SAPIA, that's the Institute of Diesel and Petroleum in South Africa, and they secure us that that's a different supply chain. We've got enough diesel. That was the big one to solve. Then talking to our municipalities, and that's an ongoing communication system, communication through to our health system. I follow that very closely because there's a lot of hospitals that needs to run their emergency services. We've got their generators on a telemetry system where we monitor their backup fuel all the time, 24/7. But obviously, they also ask now to be excluded from certain load shedding phases, and we're now busy negotiating with national. Because what we need to remember is that if you need to, let's say a stage of load shedding is around about 1,000 megawatts of electricity. So if you're on stage 4, then you mean we must save 4,000 megawatts of electricity. If you keep anything on that's going to stay on and uses, say, 20 megawatt of electricity, you must save it from somewhere else. So it's not that simple to just say we must flip the switch and leave certain areas on, but that's now very high on the agenda, working very closely with national government and Eskom. A whole team is busy with that, and hopefully by tomorrow morning they will be clear which hospitals they will keep on, they won't load shed, so that we can make sure that the emergency services can run.
And in ensuring and going through the list on which hospitals to prioritize, what criteria will you be looking at in order to ensure that some are functioning while others are not able to?
Well, obviously the hospitals in the city, and part of our emergency plans is Grooterschuur and Tygerberg hospitals, because just the size of the hospital is so big that you can do a lot there and you can shift resources there to add. You've got the room capacity to deal with that. But obviously they've also put Khayelitsha on there, just looking at the feet that the hospital, the patients, the load that the hospital must carry. So that's mainly the criteria that they will use to get to most of the people. In the meantime, we must also realize that it's a big network, so we will try our utmost best to keep the clinics open, to keep them up and running, because there you've got smaller capacity generators, and you need smaller capacity generators to keep them running, but there's also communities that need the service. We've developed a system where we also can get medicine delivered to people's houses. So I'm quite comfortable that everything is in place.
Very well. Let's leave it there for now, and thank you for your time. Western Cape Local Government and Environment MEC Anton Bredell speaking about the contingency plans that are being made in the Western Cape as load shedding persists. They're trying there to avoid a water and sewage crisis within the province. Let's now